Do you have pain in your shins? Make sure you watch this video to figure out if you have shin splints or stress fracture so that you can properly understand how to treat your shin pain. Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Michael. I'm a physical therapist here in Evanston, Illinois at Valiant Physical Therapy, where we specialize in working with runners. One of the most common areas that people will have pain when they run is in their shins. So I have here drawn two tibias, okay? Tibia is the shin bone, okay? And then before I get into it, I want to explain why I have these two little quotes around the word fracture, because the term stress fracture really means that there's a crack in the bone, okay? That if they were to take an image of the bone, they would see a fracture line, okay? That's what the word fracture really means. And the term stress fracture gets thrown around a lot in running circles, but it doesn't always mean that there's a crack in the bone when somebody is dealing with what this type of injury is called, which is a bone stress injury. Is the category of injuries called a bone stress injury. But it is very common for people to have stress reactions, which doesn't have a fracture line, but is still a bone stress injury and in some ways gets treated the same as a stress fracture. Okay, so pain in the shins, you might think it's shin splints, you might be worried it's a stress fracture, and I'm gonna kind of lay out the differences between the two. So first, with shin splints, let me say this. First, when thinking about the two diagnoses, the size of the pain is something that we can right away start to use as a differentiator between the two. For shin splints, you're going to feel a broad symptom presentation. So that the size of the discomfort will be broad. It'll be diffuse. When I'm talking to patients who have shin splints, they'll often grab their tibia and they'll say, "Oh, it kind of feels like I had my pain is like this." Okay, so if you're kind of like, "Hey, when I run, it feels like the pain is up and down the tibia." Obviously, I'm pretending this is my leg bone, right? It's like, "Oh, I kind of feel it burning up and down my leg." When patients do that, I'm already starting to lean more towards this, just because they're pointing in the way that they're gesturing hints at this idea of the symptoms are broad, okay? For a stress fracture or a bone stress injury, there's gonna be a point to it. There's gonna be a point, okay? There's gonna be a spot, all right? Now, confusingly and trickily, I guess I can say, there is sometimes some radiance of pain that can kind of go wide, and let's say that it kind of spans across the tibia. So people, when they have a stress fracture, a stress reaction, can see this and think, "Oh, well, my pain isn't just one point, it's actually pretty large. There's a large area of pain." So they think, "Okay, I don't have a stress fracture, I have shin splints because it's big." But really, if you think about the way that it feels, there usually is a spot to it. There is a point where it's like, all right, it hurts right there, and then it kind of it hurts more. There's a larger area where it generally is uncomfortable, but there is absolutely a spot where it hurts, okay? And that differentiation between there being a spot of pain versus just this very broad discomfort is one of the easiest ways to differentiate between whether or not you have shin splints or a bone stress injury. We're going to talk now about the run itself, okay? So let's say, I'm going to draw little graphs here for each of these. So let's say this here is pain intensity, okay? And then this is going to be time, all right? So we're going to do pain, and then we're going to do time, okay? For shin splints, what will commonly happen is that when you start running, there will be an increase in pain. It'll get to some point, and then it'll start to go away. And then it should go away as you're running, okay? And then maybe sometimes, depending on if you're running far enough, there could be another little blip later on. But in general, as you warm up, the pain will go away, okay? With the stress fracture, with the bone stress injury, the pain will be there at the beginning, and it's just gonna get worse, it's not going to get better. It's just going to keep getting worse. It doesn't feel better. The whole time you're running, you're really in your gut, you know, you're like, oh man, this hurts too much. Like this doesn't actually feel very good. Like, this wasn't comfortable to run. It never really went away. It never warmed up. The pain was there the whole time. And then typically what we then start to see is, let's say the run ends. Let's say the run ends here or something. The run ends. The pain is actually just going to linger. It might go down. Yeah, it'll go down, but it really just like stays around for a long time. And there is this essence of discomfort with your daily life that will be present with a bone stress injury that isn't always present with shin splints. Sometimes people with shin splints will feel discomfort if they go for a long walk, they'll feel shin splints or something like that. But typically in the runners, if they go for a walk, it shouldn't be a problem if they have shin splints. But if you're running and it hurts the whole time, and then you stop running, you're finished with your run, it hurt the whole time, it never really got better, it's definitely worse, it'll also kind of just tend to linger, okay? And it'll just kind of stay around for a long time. And runners are really good at pushing through pain, and runners are really good at digging deep to like complete the task that they set for themselves. So if they say, hey, I'm gonna run this 5-mile run, and they start running and it hurts, but it's not so painful that they have to stop, a lot of runners are going to push through that, and they're going to keep going. Even though the pain's getting worse, they're going to say, hey, it's not that bad, I can keep running, okay? Sometimes the pain isn't so bad that you have to stop, but the patterns are there that tell us, hey, this is not getting better with running, and it lingers throughout the day. It hurts when you walk. It hurts when you're going up and down stairs, okay? It hurts if you like miss a step on the stairs and then you have to suddenly catch yourself, and there's that sudden large impact when you catch yourself. Like it hurts to do that in your shins. That kind of stuff won't happen with the shin splints, okay? The shin splints will get worse when you run and then go away as you're running more, okay? Let's talk about shin splints first. For shin splints, there is this warming up phenomenon, okay? So there is this period of time where, okay, this period of time is when it hurts, but then it actually gets to a point where it like, okay, people don't feel it, all right? So there's this period of time where it hurts when they run, but then the shins get warmed up enough to where the pain actually goes to zero. So the trick with shin splints is to do a warm-up before you run. And the warm-up might need to be longer than you really would expect so that you can properly warm up the shins, okay? You also might need to play around with how intense you're running, your running form, or how you're structuring your runs. But doing some degree of a warm-up can be very helpful. So for example, if you are dealing with shin splints and your typical workflow for starting your run is you put on your running shoes, you go outside, you start your watch and you just start running, and you're going through this pain cycle that goes away, you definitely need to do a better warm-up. So something as simple as walking, going for a walk, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of walking before you run might be a sufficient enough time to really warm up the shin so that when it's time to run, you're actually feeling a lot better. You might need to do some stretches, some foam rolling of the tibia or the anterior tib or the calves, you know, that kind of stuff. Jumping jacks probably aren't going to be a good idea because it's very impact heavy, but maybe doing some like leg swings or maybe just some little pogo jumps or something like that. So because there is this warm-up phenomenon, you want to warm them up. And that's sometimes it's just that simple. So you warm them up in a pain-free way, and then when you start your run, you will be closer to the point where it's pain-free. It might do something like this, where maybe you do a warm-up and it's still a little bit there, but the intensity is less, and then it kind of goes there. And then maybe you get better and better at your warm-up, and your shins are improving, and then there's still a little bit of pain, but it actually goes away sooner, okay? Those are all signs of progress. And one other thing you might have to do is throw in some run-walk intervals. So maybe you're just running for 3 miles, and it hurts the first mile, and then it goes away for miles 2 and 3. Maybe, especially during that first mile, you need to run for like 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes, run for 2 minutes, walk for 2 minutes. Don't get to the point where your shins are starting to get sore, kind of stop before then, and then just kind of repetitiously do that until you're like, okay, I feel good, and then you can continue with the run. So being very mindful about what you do for the warm-up and how you're structuring the run is going to be pretty important for shin splints. But you are able to run, especially if it goes away and it doesn't linger into your everyday life and you are honest about how it actually feels. For a stress fracture, I've had one of these in my tibia, and the people who have these sometimes, like I did, can be in a state of denial where there is a point, it does radiate, it's not comfortable, it definitely hurts when you're running, it definitely doesn't get better when you run, it stays there the whole time and it's likely worse by the time you're done, and then it also is lingering throughout the day, but we're tough runners and we got it done and it wasn't that bad, we can make it work, okay? If you think you have a stress fracture, the only thing that you need to do right now is stop running. You need to stop running, take a break, because running is making it worse, okay? No amount of running through a stress fracture will heal the bone. The only thing that the bone needs is rest. And sometimes looking at this and saying to yourself, okay, I need to come to grips with the fact that I have a stress fracture and what I'm dealing with is not shin splints, and the only thing I need to do right now is to rest from running. And that's an important step to make. Once you get to the point where you don't have any pain with your daily life for a week, then you're ready to start exercising. Running is a long ways away. There's a lot of different resources that you can find online about rehabbing bone stress injuries and stress fractures, but the first step is always to get rid of the pain when you're walking around and doing your daily life. And if you're trying to run on one of these, you're never going to get there. So you need to stop running, let the pain calm down to the point where you don't have any pain with your daily life, and definitely reach out to a physical therapist that understands how to rehab these, and they can build you back to running. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you have questions, drop it in the comments. If you yourself are dealing with this and you're in the Evanston, North Shore area and you want some help, go to valiantphysicaltherapy.com, book a call with us, and we can help you get back to running. Thanks for watching.